So, the first presidential debate of the 2024 U.S. presidential election went down on Thursday night with President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump once again facing off on stage and making their cases to the American people.
What a case it was.
And we've seen this before. They did this exact same thing 4 years ago. And now both of these men have had their turn being president. So yeah, the stakes relatively low.
Mm-hmm.
With Trump, you know exactly what you're going to get. With Biden, though, maybe slightly less so. He is increasingly looking and sounding a bit haggard, a bit elderly, which is no surprise considering he is 81 years old. But he's asking for another 4 years in charge of the country as the oldest person to ever hold that office. So unlike Trump, Joe Biden did actually have something to prove here. Does he have the juice? Well, let's see.
We're going to fundamentally change the focus of the economic policy. We're going to focus on the middle class because it's when the middle class is growing, the economy grows and everybody does well, not just focus on the wealthy in corporate America.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Palin?
Okay, yeah, pretty sharp.
Looking good.
But also, whoops, got the clips mixed up. That was the 2008 vice president debate.
Yeah,
okay,
that's why Sarah Palin was on stage. That makes sense.
Here's the right clip.
97% of the small businesses in America make less than $250,000. Let me tell you who some of those other small businesses are. Hedge funds that make $600-800 million a year. That's what they count as small businesses because they're pass through. Let's look at how sincere they are.
Okay, sorry. That was the 2012 VP debate. Now, here you go.
The fact is it's going to create millions of good paying jobs and these tax incentives to for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes, by the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that at all.
He did say
You made it up.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we finally found the right B-roll. And as you can see, Biden is looking pretty sharp. Oh, I'm hearing word that was actually from 4 years ago. Here's the correct clip. We promise.
All those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that would be bad enough, but playing all those old debate clips totally by accident, oops. It really does put things into perspective.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad we accidentally played all those old debate clips before finding the real one. Because, otherwise, you might not get the same effect of just how far things have come.
Despite what everyone in the DNC and in a lot of media places would have you believe, he actually has gotten worse. It is not just a one-off thing. This is a progressive sign of cognitive decline.
And you do notice in the older clips, I mean, he always has stumbled a little over his words.
Sure, he had a stutter.
He would stumble in between, being really good at speaking and really good at conveying an articulate point.
Yes.
And not so much this week.
It was shocking. And
I was listening in the car.
Yes, I couldn't understand.
I was like, wow,
things.
this is fucking horrible. And then I got home and I put on the actual video debate on YouTube and I was like, wow, it's even worse. He's just standing slack-jawed, staring off into space.
Yes, when I messaged you and said, this is awful, and you said, I was like, I'm listening in the car, and you're like, wait till you see the video. Yeah. And I thought, how could it be worse having to just concentrate on the audio? But it was. It was worse. And that's the thing is this debate, couple of things. Earlier than ever in the election season, which you would assume would have worked in Biden's benefit.
It was his fucking idea.
Yes, they were doing this specifically so that he didn't sundown any further.
Yeah, because the polling hasn't been great.
No.
And it's you know what? We already know who the two guys are. Let's get them up on stage to show the American people
as quickly as humanly possible. And also, having said that everyone had already made their minds up about who they were voting for, and this debate probably wouldn't change things, it actually had an outrageously negative effect on Biden because everyone just fucking saw it. You had people for months being like, behind the scenes, he's sharp as a tack. He's all over it. And even us on this show have been like, well, why aren't they showing videos of that?
Right.
Because if there's so many videos of him acting old and feeble, and yes, some of them are edited to make it look worse than it is, but why not show, I don't know, one good video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he was like this the entire debate, just low energy. His voice was barely above a whisper. He stumbled over his words. He got mixed up. He was literally slack-jawed. And just overall, he delivered what might be the worst debate performance by a president in modern memory. It's
the
been
worst debate performance so far.
So far. And people have brought it up that in 1984 or 5, Reagan had multiple issues like this, was still reelected.
How did that end up going? What happened to Ronald Reagan?
Yeah, it's almost like he was not even running things in his last 4 years because he had Alzheimer's. Yeah, so this is bad.
And listen,
we have precedent for this being bad.
Listen, I can hear you typing away right now.
Yeah.
We are not saying that Trump did great.
Oh, you guys must be Trump supporters.
In fact, Trump's various faults, they were on full display.
Yeah.
And he too seemed to lack much of his previous juice. Like it was your usual Trump, but also like noticeably less energetic and less able to keep a single fucking thought consistently for more than a few seconds than even previous years with Trump.
Yeah, it was striking because if you cut it where Biden wasn't even there or speaking at all, Trump is just incoherently rambling as well.
Fucking terrible.
But he's doing it in a way.
It's the two genders of of being old as shit. Like this was a discussion. Like you go to any fucking old folks home in this country, you will see a loud guy who won't shut the fuck up arguing with a dude who's like barely there.
You know what? I think you're kind of a dickhead.
Trump was nonstop lying, just sentences that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And if that
so many lies.
But that's the problem.
And
we have a guy who can respond to them.
And we know that that's what he does. It's not a surprise. So yeah, if you're trying to take down Trump, you need a guy who's sharp and can fire back when he just throws a bunch of lies out there.
One of the better takes on Trump's performance that I heard was that because we are all so neck deep in Trump clips, footage, and speaking engagements, that we can actually, as people who watch all this stuff frequently, decipher and translate what he's saying because he said all these things so many times. You're like, oh, well, this is what he's talking about. Whereas Biden, you can't even fucking hear him.
Yeah.
But yes, Trump is very bad and a literal fascist and an evil person. I'm sorry, but Joe Biden is just not a good candidate.
Yeah, he's not the guy.
He is 81 fucking years old.
And yeah, the fact that Trump was also shitty, it actually makes it even more damning for Biden.
Yes.
A younger and more physically and mentally fit debater would have had no problem pushing back on Trump's bullshit up there. I was watching it a little bit. I was like, fucking Kamala would have mopped the floor with him. Kamala.
Yeah.
She would have made him fall out of every coconut tree.
And he would have hit his head multiple times on the way down.
Yeah. He would have not existed within the context. But yeah, the Joe Biden in those old clips, he also would have done great.
Sure.
That's the thing that's especially frustrating. And for a lot of people who actually know and care about him, sad.
Yeah.
As we will get to. But yeah, that's not the Joe Biden we've got currently. The Joe Biden we've got currently was that man on stage on Thursday night. And the experience watching it was basically what the Associated Press captured here in these photos from debate watch parties across the country. I think we all found ourselves in various states of head in hands, just deep sigh during that debate.
When I was listening to it, all I could think was anyone watching this is aghast.
Yeah.
Is worried about...
Like even going into with low expectations.
The fact that this guy is in charge of the country right now makes me nervous.
Yes! So it was rough. And it forced a lot of people to grapple with the idea that maybe Joe Biden being too old for the job isn't just Fox News propaganda. And this wasn't out of context clips. This was 90 straight minutes of what I would call elder abuse.
And you all owe us an apology.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
We
'Cause
get
we've been
so many
saying-
comments that are like, oh, you must be Trump supporters by saying anything negative about Biden.
Yeah, no, I am proud to reaffirm that I've been saying this shit for the last 4 years. In fact, I was saying it before that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a track record we can actually stand behind. But,
Yeah.
like, it's just like, God damn, this actually feels like it was being hidden by Biden-friendly media. Because when you put it out there, 90 minutes live for the world to see, there's just no hiding it. He's not... Anyways, it was so bad that seemingly the only moment anyone in Biden's campaign wants to capitalize on post-debate is the moment that he compared Donald Trump to an alley cat.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Okay, sure, 23 skidoo, buddy. Fucking got a lot of moxie. His Twitter account then repeated the alley cat line multiple times, like it's some sort of catchphrase. And the campaign even sent out text saying, hey folks, it's Joe. Last night I spent 90 minutes debating on a stage with a guy who has all the morals of an alley cat. Stop trying to make morals of an alley cat happen. People like cats in general. They are a well-beloved, a well-liked animal.
People like cats.
It's like when Trump makes fun of dogs. Even conservatives are like, I love my dogs. I have no problem with an alley cat. Some of my best friends are alley cats.
Yeah. I currently have at least 3 alley cats living on my property.
I get little bowls of food.
And occasionally leaving dead rats in my yard.
I got dead lizards. Sometimes I've seen a skunk come by and get some of that food, but you know what? It's for everyone.
Yeah.
It's for everyone. Anyways, stop using alley cat.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, it's apparently old-timey slang for calling someone a slut.
Yeah,
so, like,
people looked it up. They're like, where's this coming from? And it's like, yeah, back in like 100 years ago, like if a woman was considered promiscuous, they'd call her an alley cat to insinuate that she's a prostitute.
He must be like alluding to the Trump banging a porn star thing, which is like not exactly the angle you want to go on.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's not the, I mean, yes, the unfaithfulness to your family is bad, but
sure. It's just a
The
bizarre...
fucking wasn't the bad.
Yeah. Anyway, some other highlights from the debate included a moment where Trump claimed to have not even understood what Joe Biden just said. And in this case, yeah, we actually believe him.
What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened, I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Damn it.
And then there's this one, which I believe will probably be the most historic. There's going to be 2 that are very just referenced and shown a lot.
Yeah.
One is actually of vital importance, which is Joe Biden rambling and then going off on the weirdest possible tangent when
we'll
talking about abortion rights.
We'll get to that. But,
and then there's this one, which is innocuous, and it makes you weep for the country as a whole.
Yeah, this one was the moment where it's like, no matter... I mean, obviously MAGA people are completely in the tank, but I feel like for most people you watch this and you're like, oh God, we are so fucked.
Yes, we are doomed. And the clip is just two
old guys.
2 octogenarians just talking about their golf game. Just please watch.
I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
Again, this exact conversation happens at the Villages in Florida.
Absolutely.
On a hour-by-hour basis. But we get to see it from the two guys, one of whom will be the next president of the United States. Very cool. Again, Trump was a total jackass up there.
Absolutely.
The entire fucking time, as expected.
Never not lying.
But Biden's performance was pretty alarming. There was a whole fake controversy leading up to the debate where Republicans were claiming that Joe Biden would be using performance-enhancing drugs. Kind of wish he had.
Yeah, Jon Stewart's take was great. Like, give them the drugs.
There was a great meme of someone trying to give him an Adderall
through the
TV.
Jon Stewart was like, if they have these drugs, put them on it. They're not trying to win awards or medals at the Olympics. They should be awake and responsive.
Yeah. So right before the debate, Biden, he decided to riff on this part a little bit. He used that whole fake controversy to try and sell some campaign merch. I don't know what they got in these performance enhancers, but I'm feeling pretty jacked up. Try it yourself, folks. With a link to buy your own can of Dark Brandon Secret Sauce.
Ew, is that comp?
For $4.64. No, it's water.
Okay.
The product description reads, the secret to a good debate performance? Staying hydrated. Get yourself the same performance enhancers Joe Biden took before going on stage. 100% water, 0% malarkey. Honestly, after seeing how the debate went down, we will have what he's having. Sounds like...
Yeah, if I want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take it before bed so that I drift off with ease.
Yeah, it sounds like they're selling legal ketamine. I'll take some of that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, obviously not while working or operating heavy machinery or doing a debate to see who will be the next president of the United States. Jesus.
Now again, Trump might have been way more coherent and articulate up there, but he too said some alarming shit. Made less alarming by the fact that we've known how much this guy sucks for a very, very long time. We've seen the Project 2025 stuff.
Yeah.
We know the evil shit that he's about to get up to.
He was literally president. We were there.
Yeah.
And we know what he's planning on doing if he becomes president again. It's
there was
not good.
A whole tangent about illegal immigrants taking black jobs that felt pretty fucking racist.
Repeatedly saying black jobs.
Also inspired some solid memes on Black Twitter. But just very weird.
They're taking black jobs. You know, the shitty jobs that white people don't want. They're taking them from the blacks.
There was Trump coining the word Palestinian as basically a slur and using it to describe Joe Biden, despite Biden just bending over backwards for Israel for the past 8 months. And this was part of a response in which Trump really drove home that for as awful as Biden has been on this topic, Trump would somehow be even worse. And most alarming of all was Trump's continued lack of even a shred of guilt over January 6th and his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, as well as some strong indications that we can look forward to more of that if he loses again.
Yeah. First of all, it's fucked up that they waited till like 3/4 of the way through the debate to even bring this topic up. This should have been question number one.
Yeah.
But he dodged it like multiple times. And then when they finally got a straight answer out of him, it was just like, yeah, no, we'll have to see if this election is rigged like the last one.
And guess what, folks? If you were hoping, if you even had a shred of hope that CNN was going to push back or fact check or even tamp down on some of the blatant lies that were being spread, no, instead they just said, thank you, sir, and then moved on like as if everything that was just said was true. Yeah. When in 99% of the cases with Trump talking, it was not. And clearly Biden's not pushing back.
On the NBC News YouTube stream, they turned off public comments, but they used the comments section to actually live fact check, which I thought, that was good. Probably should have done something like that on the actual broadcast.
Yeah.
God! Anyway, Trump also dodged a bunch of questions. He went off on his own tangents. He lied incessantly. And a lot of people, were upset with CNN for not doing any live fact checking. But again, it's also the job of the person that he's debating to be on their game and ready to push back on those lies. You know the lies he's going to tell.
Jake Tapper's not debating.
Yeah.
He's moderating.
And Biden very much was not on his game.
Far from it.
Biden also, at one point, answered a question about abortion. You know, one of the most important issues for a lot of people in this country going into this next election, abortion. He answered that question by not answering it. Instead, he went off on a completely unrelated tangent about a woman who was raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant.
Great job,
Great
Joe.
job, Joe. Yeah. The whole debate was a shit show, especially for Joe Biden. And the second the debate ended, the panelists on seemingly every major news network's post-debate talk shows, they were not sugarcoating what a mess it was.
Yeah.
Even the ones you would expect to defend Biden.
I went straight to MSNBC and was like, Claire McCaskill was on there being like,
she's like, we're going to have to do some important conversations in the next couple weeks.
I am heartbroken to say that this was a bad performance.
Yeah.
And this is on a panel that is very Biden friendly. And
I watched the CNN
all
one.
of them.
The CNN divides, it's like half Republicans, half Democrats. And it was pretty unanimous on that one.
Yeah.
Which was shocking. Like right off the bat too. Like,
and we'll get
they
to
got
it,
right into
but
it.
2 days later, and everyone seems to be like, okay, well, I think he's fine now.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, in fact, pretty much immediately, all of these discussions, they turned to whether Joe Biden should be replaced as the Democrats' candidate. And commentators openly discussed conversations that they were having with party insiders that indicated that this was a real possibility. So holy fucking shit.
Good to see everyone come around.
Yeah, better late than never, I guess.
Well, let's see if it works out. I won't.
So here's Forbes with some of those comments.
Yeah. Appearing on CNN after the debate, former White House official and chief strategist for President Barack Obama's election campaign, David Axelrod, said there are going to be discussions about whether he should continue. In an op-ed late Thursday, New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof wrote, after the debate, it's hard to avoid the feeling that Biden remaining in the race increases the likelihood that Trump will move into the White House in January, and the president can resolve this by withdrawing from the race. Meanwhile, CNN analyst and one-time Obama administration staffer Van Jones said, there are going to be a lot of people who want him to consider taking a different course now. There is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he, Biden, will allow us to do that.
Over on MSNBC, anchor Nicole Wallace, a former Republican staffer turned vehement critic of Donald Trump and the GOP, said Biden's debate performance has triggered a frank conversation inside the Democratic coalition, and added, you can change a candidate. There were people talking about how that process works, and that conversation is live and active at the highest levels of the Democratic Party. Lincoln Project founder Steve Schmidt, another former GOP staffer known for his staunch Trump opposition, wrote on X, Joe Biden lost the country tonight and will not get it back. If Trump is a threat and democracy is on the line, then Biden must step aside. His duty, oath, and legacy require an act of humility and selflessness. Former MSNBC anchor and political commentator Mehdi Hasan was also critical of Biden's debate performance and said he, quote, must go. And people are deluded if they believe Joe Biden at this stage of his life is the best person that Democrats have to offer against Donald Trump, against a fascist.
And side note, Mehdi Hasan has started his own media company after getting booted off the air from MSNBC for pushing back even slightly.
For being like the one guy to actually, be critical of Israel and our country's involvement with that war.
Yes.
Yeah, they gave him the axe and he seems to be doing all right with his
Started
new
a media
venture.
company. You should go check it out. But the following day, we got what looks like every center-left columnist at every major American newspaper publishing op-eds calling for Biden to step down. Particularly the New York Times, who after multiple separate op-eds about this from different writers, published a piece by the entire editorial board titled, To Serve His Country, President Biden Should Leave the Race. And this is, as we find ourselves saying way too often these days, unprecedented. But here we are.
Why is everything that's unprecedented never good? It'd be cool if good things that weren't precedented happened.
Yeah. What was a year ago an opinion you'd most likely hear from leftists is now a mainstream take. Let's read a few selections from some op-eds. Here's Thomas Friedman, a personal friend of Joe Biden in the Times.
I watched the Biden-Trump debate alone in a Lisbon hotel room, and it made me weep. I cannot remember a more heartbreaking moment in American presidential campaign politics in my lifetime, precisely because of what it revealed. Joe Biden, a good man and a good president, has no business running for re-election. And Donald Trump, a malicious man and a petty president, has learned nothing and forgotten nothing. He is the same fire hose of lies he always was, obsessed with his grievances, nowhere close to what it will take for America to lead in the 21st century. The Biden family and political team must gather quickly and have the hardest of conversations with the president, a conversation of love and clarity and resolve. To give America the greatest shot possible of deterring the Trump threat in November, the president has to come forward and declare that he will not be running for re-election and is releasing all of his delegates for the Democratic National Convention.
And here's Nicholas Kristof in the Times. President Biden is a good man who capped a long career in public service with a successful presidential term. But I hope he reviews his debate performance Thursday evening and withdraws from the race, throwing the choice of a Democratic nominee to the convention in August. My phone has been blowing up with texts from people saying, as one put it, "Dear God, what are we going to do?" Another, also a fan of Biden, texted, "It's imperative we change horses." But Democrats have been reluctant to say this out loud and undermine Biden. So it will be up to Joe and Jill Biden to make this choice themselves. This will be a wrenching choice. But, Mr. President, one way you can serve your country in 2024 is by announcing your retirement and calling on delegates to replace you. For that is the safest course for our nation.
This is an intervention.
They're trying.
They're staging an intervention where like you show up and you're like, listen, I love you. I'm doing this because I love you.
Everyone around here wants the best for you.
We want the best
and the best for the country. and in order for that to happen, you need to make the one most important decision you can this year by
we won't respect you any less. In fact,
we will appreciate you so much more if you just
fucking hell.
Otherwise, your legacy is screwed. And because of what appears to be the decision that Biden made the next day, because it is his decision, apparently he's going forward, and his failure will rest on his feet alone.
Yeah, this is not any voter's fault.
No.
Democrats love to place the blame squarely at the feet of voters.
No, absolutely not.
They are the ones who's, first of all, it's their fucking job to win. And it's their job to make the decisions, the strategic decisions that would allow for a win to take place. Anyway, here's Patrick Healy, also in the Times. By the end of the debate, I was hearing a level of anxiety and alarm from those Democrats and several other party leaders and operatives that I had never seen in 20 years of covering presidential politics. The discussion turned squarely to the need for the Democratic Party to replace Biden as the 2024 nominee, with 4 months to go to the election, and how to make that happen. Biden is only 3 years older than Trump, but he looked and sounded 20 years older. One Democratic National Committee official told me before the debate that Biden's age was Democrats' biggest problem, and texted on Thursday night, "Things have gone from bad to worse."
I agree. Here's Frank Bruni in the Times. From the moment the debate began, he seemed unsteady, off. His expression was often frozen. His voice was often flat. He garbled words. He corrected himself mid-sentence over and over again. He'd clearly memorized key talking points, key phrases, but he repeatedly used them without providing adequate context, swerved from one to another without any transition, halted sentences before they reached their destination, started sentences without giving them any bearings. 10 minutes in, I had a knot in my stomach. 20 minutes in, the knot was so tight it hurt. "We finally beat Medicare," he said early on, and I had no idea what he was talking about. Can Biden beat Trump? That question predated the debate and will be asked with even more urgency and panic in its aftermath. As will this one. Is it really too late for another Democrat to take Biden's place? With stakes this high, mustn't that be discussed one more time before the convention? I'm not weighing in on Biden's record. I'm evaluating his prospects. And I'm acknowledging that performances as shaky as the one he delivered on Thursday may hurt him badly with the small group of uncommitted voters who will decide what is almost guaranteed to be a very close election. Anyone and everyone who correctly understands the stakes of a Trump victory must grapple with that, and fast.
And yeah, he raised an important point there that this election, like pretty much every modern election, it doesn't come down to you or me or your MAGA neighbor. It comes down to like a fucking sliver of the population in a tiny handful of states who are somehow undecided and consequently probably politically incoherent in terms of their beliefs. They're just going
probably
off,
just disconnected too.
Really just going off vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just going off vibes here, this looks fucking bad.
Awful.
Just off the vibes alone. And you can say, yeah, well, those voters are dumb. They're stupid. And it's like, I'm sorry, you need those people to fucking vote for you.
It's time to have those hard conversations. You can't have this be another Dianne Feinstein, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
That's another thing. We have like so many examples of this exact thing happening recently
with horrific results.
Yeah,
it's
God. Here's Ezra Klein in the Times. I don't think that most people who watched him Thursday night will say to themselves, "I want this guy as president in 3 years." And voters have been telling Democrats that in polls basically the whole time Biden has been president. Democrats, or at least Biden, have not been listening. And now they're going to have to decide whether or not they're going to listen. I think the problem with the debate Thursday night is that it has probably ended the ability of Democrats to tell the public this is not a problem. I mean, the hope was that the Joe Biden of the State of the Union shows up every single time from here until the election, and that is clearly not going to happen.
And here's the Times editorial board. Mr. Biden has been an admirable president. Under his leadership, the nation has prospered and begun to address a range of long-term challenges, and the wounds ripped open by Mr. Trump have begun to heal. But the greatest public service Mr. Biden can now perform is to announce that he will not continue to run for re-election. As it stands, the president is engaged in a reckless gamble. There are Democratic leaders better equipped to present clear, compelling, and energetic alternatives to a second Trump presidency. There is no reason for the party to risk the stability and security of the country by forcing voters to choose between Mr. Trump's deficiencies and those of Mr. Biden. It's too big a bet to simply hope Americans will overlook or discount Mr. Biden's age and infirmity that they see with their own eyes.
If the race comes down to a choice between Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden, the sitting president would be this board's unequivocal pick. This is how much of a danger Mr. Trump poses. But given that very danger, the stakes for the country, and the uneven abilities of Mr. Biden, the United States needs a stronger opponent to the presumptive Republican nominee. To make a call for a new Democratic nominee this late in the campaign is a decision not taken lightly, but it reflects the scale and seriousness of Mr. Trump's challenge to the values and institutions of this country and the inadequacy of Mr. Biden to confront him. It should be remembered that Mr. Biden challenged Mr. Trump to this verbal duel. He set the rules, and he insisted on a date months earlier than any previous general election debate. He understood that he needed to address long-standing public concerns about his mental acuity and that he needed to do so as soon as possible. The truth Mr. Biden needs to confront now is that he failed his own test.
Yeah, and that's all just from one newspaper. I mean,
the paper of record.
That I have friends that texted me that listen to like Crooked Media, Pod Save America stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, he's lost Pod Save America. I was like, oh no.
I mean, Pod Save, I don't listen to them anymore. I did like way back in the day, but they've been pretty good on stuff like Israel and stuff like, I don't know if they've like openly said that Biden should step down before this, but it's not really surprising coming from them. And they were some of the loudest ones, at least on Twitter, getting behind this.
Yeah. I don't know if you brought it up, but like The View.
Oh yeah, we get to that.
Okay, yeah. These are people who all admit in their columns that they strongly support Biden over Trump.
Yeah, these aren't Republicans trying to plant seeds of doubt in your minds. These are people who fucking love the Democratic Party and love Joe Biden.
The past 2 days has been people like sending me or others just like establishment Dems being like, shit. Oh yeah, it's really bad. So, Again, these are people who would typically very strongly support Biden over Trump. They just don't think Biden has the juice to actually win and serve 4 more years. Instead, he's actually cooked. And
he is Rizless.
It wasn't just the New York Times. Here's Kurt Bardella in the LA Times. I hope Joe Biden runs for president. That was the headline of a column I wrote back in March of 2019. I believed then that at a time when Trump continues to go lower and lower, Biden brings to the national stage the strength, decency, and sense of duty that are sorely needed in our political discourse. 5 years later, duty to country is required of Joe Biden once again. This time, however, the act of duty that is needed is one of tremendous personal sacrifice, something the president is all too familiar with given the personal tragedies he has had to overcome over the years. It will require strength. It will require introspection. It will require him to do something that is against his nature. That act of duty and sacrifice is also one that embodies the very essence of our democratic process, to voluntarily relinquish power. And if he had, look, I wasn't very happy with him running in the first place 4 years ago, but if he had actually committed to what he said he was going to do, which was to be a one-term president.
Okay, well, here's the thing about that. He never publicly claimed that. There was internal discussions in his campaign, which were, of course, leaked and then reported on. And everyone's like, oh, cool, he's going to be a one-term president. And then he came out like a day or so later being like, no, I haven't decided on that at all. But he kind of also left it open. And he did publicly describe himself as a transitional president, whatever the fuck that means. It's whatever you interpret it as, which I think a lot of people interpreted that to mean one-term president.
Yes, he would have left with... He certainly would have driven that legacy down in the past couple months with the way that he's handled Israel and Palestine.
Right.
But getting out of the way would have been the right thing to do as a plan, not riding it into this.
It's, his, like LBJ, terrible, foreign policy. Unforgivable in many ways,
Yes.
but pretty solid domestic policy. Impressive in a lot of ways. And I probably have to credit his cabinet and his staff quite a bit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if he were to retire, like, I think his legacy would be fine, mostly. It would be like LBJ, where it's just like,
the big problem here too is that, like, whatever you want to say, those words you want to say about America, strongest, first world country, best free world, blah, 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 blah. Is this the person that you think should be leading this country, considering the...
Is this man you want picking up the red phone at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Considering how chaotic the entire world is and how much shit is going on abroad and domestically, I don't have a lot of faith in his ability to lead.
Yeah.
If this is what
and again,
it
that's
looks
true
like.
for both of them.
Yeah,
If we're talking on like a world stage, like,
yes,
neither of these are good for America.
No.
Anyway, more op-eds. Here's Walter Shapiro in the New Republic. After an uninspiring, wavering, hoarse-voiced debate performance in which he constantly failed to halt Donald Trump's torrent of lies, it is time for Biden to face up to the reality of his 81 years. The president, away from his aides and enablers, should ask himself the blunt question: can I save American democracy by beating Trump? The decision is in Biden's hands. It's on his conscience that Trump is likely to be the once and future president. Only Biden, by withdrawing next week, can change that frightening equation. It would be the ultimate self-sacrifice, and it would run against every I'm a fighter instinct in Biden's body, but it is a self-sacrifice that is needed to save the nation from 4 more years of Trump terror.
And here's Jerusalem Dempsey's in The Atlantic. Joe Biden says he ran for president in 2020 because of Charlottesville. He says he ran because he saw the threat Donald Trump posed to the country and the threat he posed to democracy. If Biden truly believes that, he needs to end his re-election campaign. Indeed, dropping out could be the most patriotic gesture of his long career in public service, and every senior Democratic official and leader in the country should be pressuring him to act immediately. Here's Mark Leibovich, also in The Atlantic. President Joe Biden needs to end his campaign. The first presidential debate, held last night, was a disaster. It was clear from the outset that Biden looked old, sounded old, and yes, is in fact very, very old. This has been rumored for a while. Last night it was confirmed. Oh, was it rumored that he was just old? Oh, I'm sorry. No, he looked and sounded like
the
shit.
new 50, yeah.
I met someone months ago that got to meet Biden at one of the various stops. Like, oh, how was he? And their answer was old. And this is a fucking supporter.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, if you've had grandparents, uncles, even parents, like, you know, when they're deteriorating, it's not consistent. It's not across the board. But when you catch them at one of those moments, you're like, fucking Jesus
This is
Christ.
really sad.
First of all, don't let this person drive a car.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to start making arrangements. Anyway, that's still just a small selection of what seems to be the consensus among people who, for a living, regularly defend Biden.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is just newspaper columns. Not a whole lot of people reading those, if we're being honest. But even the fucking View! The View!
Those ladies at the View!
They want him to drop out.
This is the canary in the coal mine.
Here's Entertainment Weekly. Most of us are in mourning, Sonny Hostin said at the top of Friday morning's episode. And while Joy Behar, also 81, pointed out that Trump lied dozens of times in a nice, clear voice, the co-host still pushed for Biden to give up his spot in the race after playing clips of the current president stumbling over his words and losing his train of thought during Thursday night's matchup. It kind of pains me to say this today, but I think President Biden needs to step down and be replaced if we want to defeat Donald Trump in November, Sarah Haynes said, also urging Democrats to stop twisting the age issue by making excuses for Biden. I think Biden's team saw it coming, she continued. I think that's why they pushed for an earlier debate, so they'd have time to change course if needed. But they've got to act fast. I'd implore those closest to the president to have those very hard conversations they're going to need to have, not just for political ramifications, for humanity, for integrity, and for his legacy. That's all on the line right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a newspaper column. It's a show your Mima actually watches.
Yep. So as fucked up as this situation is, especially at this stage of the game, it is genuinely refreshing seeing people wake the fuck up to something that we and a lot of other people have felt for a very long time. But will it happen? Can it happen? Who would replace him? Well, on that last question, there's actually several pretty solid answers. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, California Governor Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, among others. Not all of our favorite people. I would say that Gavin Newsom at least has the provable experience of debating Ron DeSantis, another presidential nominee.
Lately, and he was at the debate, lately Gavin has taken a sort of surrogate role where he goes on the news to basically translate for Joe Biden and like defend his presidency. He does it so much better than anyone, Joe Biden or anyone in his own administration can.
Out of all of those picks, he is clearly, in my opinion, the best orator. Like, maybe not out of all those people the best orator, but the best at combating the lies that are coming out of a fire hose.
Silver fox.
Yes, he can.
And I hate him so much.
I don't like him, but he can immediately call people on their bullshit. He would have, I don't know if it's even possible to dog walk Trump, but he would have fucking done something.
Yeah.
He would have said something. He would have shut him up. He wouldn't have just, okay, it's my time.
Gavin Newsom, he's a sociopath, but he's our sociopath.
I mean,
not ours, but the Democrats. So anyway, a lot of those people that we listed and many more, they regularly do a better job defending Biden's presidency than Biden does himself.
Yeah.
There's of course questions of the level of appeal that certain ones would have for your average swing state undecided voter, but that's just some shit that they'd have to figure out. And very quickly.
Yeah. Rapid. Let's go.
But even with a bench of possible replacements, how would this actually work? Well, Biden would have to step down voluntarily.
That's the problem.
The only other possibilities would be a majority of Biden's convention delegates changing their votes. Not going to happen. Or Biden's cabinet invoking the 25th Amendment to have him removed as president.
Not going to happen.
Very unlikely. Neither of these seem like they're in the cards. So it's probably just going to come down to Joe Biden voluntarily stepping down. But will he?
No, of course he won't, at least for now. Apparently he had meetings the day after the debate, and the result of all of those conversations and meetings was, no, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I'm running for president.
Yeah.
Barack Obama got up Friday morning and posted to Twitter, bad debate nights happen. Trust me, I know. But this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary folks his entire life and someone who only cares about himself. Between someone who tells the truth, who knows right from wrong, and will give it to the American people straight, and someone who lies through his teeth for his own benefit. Last night didn't change that, and it's why so much is at stake in November. Okay, buddy, I get it. Like,
no one's saying that
morally, I think Joe Biden is a better person than Donald Trump. Do I think that the decisions that he makes will be different than Trump's? Yes, of course. This guy ain't it, buddy.
Also, this wasn't just, hey, we all have a bad night. That's why people are freaking out.
This has been, well, it's been coming for a very long time. But anyways, Biden himself was back on the campaign trail, putting this whole idea to rest.
I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
Oh, good. Great. And yeah, as many pointed out, Biden did seem a whole lot more alive there than he did the night before. Oh, so maybe he's just not a night person. And that does seem to be the case, at least according to White House aides that Axios spoke to.
The past 36 hours showcased two Joe Bidens, the veteran president rallying voters in a swing state and an 81-year-old man struggling to string thoughts together in a debate. The time of day is important as to which of the two Bidens will appear. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Biden is dependably engaged, and many of his public events in front of cameras are held within those hours. Outside of that time range, or while traveling abroad, Biden is more likely to have verbal miscues and become fatigued, aides told Axios.
Okay.
Interesting. Here's the thing about elderly people who seem to have their shit together during the daylight hours, but seem confused, disoriented, and fatigued at night when the sun goes down. It's what sundowning is. It's called sundowning. It is literally a symptom of dementia, sometimes one of the earlier signs of it. So Biden's improved performance half a day after the debate Not really the gotcha that some people are making it out to be.
I am so frustrated with this because there's two separate things. Obviously, like the rally stuff is just pre-written. He knows what he's going to go out there and say.
He's on a teleprompter.
And the debate was him and the display of cognitive issues because you're having to deal with someone having a conversation with you and pushing back on what you're saying or saying lies and you having to respond to them. It is a completely different scenario. He's not... I'm happy that he was fine the next day. For his health reasons, I'm happy he seems to be doing fine. He's not the right person for this job.
Yeah, the president it's a 24-hour job, actually, so...
Oh, well, as long as nothing bad happens between, 4 p.m. and 10 a.m., then, whatever. He'll at least be able to respond verbally. In any case, we should reiterate that despite having very serious problems with Joe Biden, particularly in his foreign policy, we would still take a sundowning Joe Biden over Donald Trump because Trump really does suck that much. And it stands that one of these two men will be president.
Yeah, it's whether you like it or not, whether you vote or not, it's one of these two guys is going to be president.
It's a bullshit position for a country to be in. But them's the breaks. It just seems like if you want to stop Trump from getting another 4 years in office to further mold this country into a fascist hellscape for ordinary people, you should be running a candidate who actually inspires confidence in your average voter. And reminder, your average voter is a fucking idiot. So yeah, that's where we're at with all of that. And apologies for the timing of this whole debacle, turning Weekly Weird News into a circle jerk of despair over the direction this country's headed. We didn't even get to the Supreme Court stuff that dropped on Friday, but it is also fucking bad.
It is not good.
So we'll cover that early next week. And yeah, it's just like the debate happened after we filmed News Dump, but before you started writing Weekly Weird News. So it's just a weird time frame, but got to do a video about it. This is a fucking nightmare.
It's fucked up.
So yes, next week we'll have some more on the general vibe that is increasingly seeming like this country and planet are heading full speed into a very bad direction, regardless of how elections go. But you'll have to wait until then.
But yeah, we do still have the headlines half of the show. Hopefully there's still a chance for some actual laughs today.
Yeah.
And not the kind where you're laughing to hold in the tears and the despair.
Yeah.
And listen, even if you didn't necessarily like anything about this episode,
we're going to need that help.
I know I didn't. If you could please leave a like, that would be great.
Also, yeah, no sponsor. So click the join button for the love of God.
Really helps us out. Maybe drop a comment. If you're feeling generous, become a member for $5 a month.
Click that join button. Support the show so we can keep covering whatever the hell this is.
Yeah. All right, that's enough begging.
Oh, please.
Let's get to the weirdest, wildest headlines from this week from around the world. Starting with...
Abe Lincoln wax sculpture melts in brutal DC heat.
Could this be a metaphor for something, anything, everything?
It definitely should be. It definitely should. When something stays out too long and starts melting, it's time to put it away.
The way it melts is great too. Like his head.
He looks like
he's getting.
It looks like the guy from the old audio ads. It's getting blown back by the speakers.
Yeah.
It's a Maxwell or something like that.
Yeah, I remember the ad.
Yes, you
Sound
do.
Blaster. Whatever it was. But yeah, this was a sculpture. It was supposed to melt eventually. Like the artist put little candle wicks all over it. And like visitors were encouraged to like light the candle and then blow it out when you leave. But it was supposed to last like several months and not just melt in the fucking unusually...
We'll install it in June.
Yeah. And summer's being hotter than expected. Weird how that happens every summer. Every summer of your life.
Poor Abe Lincoln.
What's that about?
Poor Abe Lincoln's head. Never getting a good, fair shake.
No.
It's either leaned back. Well, it's always leaned back. Yeah.
Uneventful evening for police. Oilers fans too heartbroken to riot.
Ah, jeez. Another loss. And to Florida.
Floridans.
Ah, jeez.
Oh my God. They don't even have snow or ice there.
I'll never forget the first time I went to Canada. It was like after one of the wins from the Lightning in the Stanley Cup, and it was against one of their teams. People did not like me sharing that fact loudly in public. Yeah, well, I think it's funny that you're Canadian sport. You guys can't even win your own championship.
It is always funny when that happens.
Yeah.
Like they can go play hockey on the lake for half the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then when a team like the Florida Panthers or the Anaheim Ducks or anyone from like below, it's just, embarrassing.
Also, this is specifically funny because like, Oilers fans being too heartbroken to riot is like a direct link to the footage from Florida where no one in Florida gives a shit.
Yeah.
They're rolling by with the Stanley Cup and people are like,
what is that?
What's
we
going
have
on?
a hockey team? And I'll be honest, like I feel like this is a Mandela effect for me. I did not know
was a
that
team?
Florida had a hockey team.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers.
I knew about the Lightning, but something about the Panthers, I'm like, what? I'm almost certain I've seen them play in person, but it's just like, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's extra embarrassing is,
No one in Florida caring.
yeah, this is like when America wins at some like cricket,
Yeah.
which we did recently
Yeah.
against India. And it's just the worst day of their lives. And for us, it's just Tuesday.
Just another day. Oh, I don't think about you at all.
Yeah. In-flight raw dogging. The bizarre new travel trend that's creating a buzz. And no, they're not talking about having sex without a condom, which is fucking raw dogging. That's what when I hear that, that's what I picture. That's not what people are doing on airplanes.
It's different generation, different terminology meanings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're raw dogging flights by which
It just means doing something like completely naturally with
just
no
sitting in the chair, not reading, not listening to music, not sleeping, not even eating or taking
Just
drinks.
staring straight
just
forward.
staring straight ahead, which is like, I guess, young men, I don't know, this could all be bullshit, but the young men on TikTok are trying to one-up each other in their raw dogging abilities.
You're going to
I
drive
think
yourself nuts.
Some real sicko shit. This is what Ron DeSantis does on flights. Do you want to be like Ron DeSantis?
No, put your fucking headphones on and play a game on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, when I fly, usually I'm just listening to podcasts while staring at the airplane map.
I hate you. I hate everyone that has that fucking map up.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like watching a clock.
Well, if I'm listening to a podcast and I'm like, my eyes are open, I just need something to look at.
Look out the window.
So, well, sometimes I turn off the map and I put on a movie I've already seen with the subtitles.
that's what I do.
So I'm listening to a podcast while watching a movie.
That's what I do.
Some real fucking ADD shit.
Yeah.
And then
well,
I'm playing,
look at me.
And then I'm playing Subway Surfers on my phone and I'm molding shit with magic clay. I have no attention span.
I got my phone out, my Switch out. I got something going on the screen. I'm looking out the window. I am. It's bad.
I'm always in like either I'm sleeping or I'm in a state on airplanes where I can't. Like even reading books, like I get like a page in, it just makes me tired.
Well, I like that
not
'cause I can
tired
go to
enough to
sleep.
fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'm like in this middle fucking purgatory zone.
The worst is like getting on a flight and it's like, I doze off for a second or I'm paying attention to something. And I look up and I'm like, it seems like we've made some good progress.
No, it's
and
been
I see
2
someone
minutes.
who has the fucking flight map on their thing and it's like the remaining time, 5 hours. Get fucked. Turn it off.
I want to know.
No,
I
turn
want
it
to know
off.
exactly how long.
Turn
we've
it
done.
off. Reach over and turn it off. For you.
Also,
And
like,
close your fucking window blinds when it's daylight
I also
out.
like seeing where we are because I can look out the window. Like the last flight I was on, I just stared at the fucking Ozarks, or not the Ozarks, the ones on the East Coast,
The Appalachians?
Appalachians. And actually, I did also, and when we crossed over the Ozarks, I looked at those too, and they're very cool to look at from the sky.
Sure.
And I wouldn't have known that without the map. That's what the map's for.
Yes, check it and then turn it off. And same with the window.
No, I need
Like,
it on the whole time.
If it's a flight that's over a certain amount of time, you got to keep the window closed.
Why don't you put on some horse blinders?
I do have those. Yes, I have. I have purchased very good eye blinders. Yeah, and a feed bag too.
Yeah.
just the
Flight
stewardess-
attendant, just put it in the bag.
Yeah, just come by and fill it with peanuts, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah, actually, never mind. I brought my own shrimp and garlic. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Can you throw the salmon in the microwave for me? Anyways, let's move on.
South African scientists make rhino horns radioactive to curb poaching.
Okay, cool.
They've tried everything else, and now they're just putting little radioactive like injections in the horns.
Does this hurt the rhino?
No.
Okay.
It's low enough that they're fine. But if you kill a rhino, poach it, and take its horns,
Yeah.
it will set off all of the like scary radiation alarms at the airport. And also, if you manage to make it out with the horn and grind it up into like fucking Chinese medicine, everyone who ingests that will die a horrible death.
Good.
So I think this is a great plan.
Sure.
I support it. Make the rhinos radioactive again.
Florida man sneezes his intestines out of his body at restaurant.
Gross.
Okay, we've already had the baby in the toilet at the Golden Corral. What restaurant did this happen at? Did you look it up?
Not
This is a
chain.
disgusting thing to have
I was
happen.
picturing it. He didn't cough it out of his mouth.
It came out of his nose?
No, he had like a stoma or something from like a recent surgery where they had to like remove part of his stomach. And he sneezed so hard that like, the cap popped off and it just like, he farted his intestines out of his stomach while trying to enjoy a tasty breakfast. Yeah, not fun, right?
Let's move on.
Canadian man makes history after receiving 0 election votes. I am the true unity candidate.
This is what's going to happen to Joe Biden. I did it. I brought the country together. Yeah.
He did it.
I guess.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. I heard she was fucking pissed because she's not even on like the short list for replacement.
Yeah, no, she was only...
Nor should she be.
No, she shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like...
It is very funny.
I'm sorry, you don't have it.
Oh, so we're replacing the president now. Well, look who's right here waiting in the wings, the old vice president.
Yeah, and I'll say this, she's pretty solid in the role of vice president, which means you send her to the events and places you don't want to go to yourself, and she just sort of smiles and laughs and just seems like a human being.
Yeah.
And that's the job of the vice president. That's Joe Biden's old job.
Yeah.
Which he was also pretty good at.
Mm-hmm.
Just show up and don't fucking embarrass us. But if you do, actually embarrass yourself a little bit just to seem human.
Yeah.
But president, are you kidding?
From the outhouse, 400-meter runner goes from locked in a porta potty straight to the Olympics. Okay.
Yeah, and she won. She won the qualifier, but she had to take a shit. I don't know if it was a shit. I don't know if it was 1 or 2. But she was in a porta potty.
A bio break.
She had to take a bio break.
Which everyone reminded me in the comments that's been around for a very long time.
Okay,
Sorry,
I hate it.
Yeah,
I don't
normal
like
people. I only hang out with normal people who say piss or shit.
Yeah, so she went to take a piss or shit in a porta potty, right before her race, and got locked in. She was banging on the door. She was in there for a while, shaking it.
Could you imagine the biggest moment of your life?
Yeah, finally someone opened it up, and she just sprinted to the racetrack and fucking, I think, broke a record. She's one of the fastest female runners there's ever been.
That's great.
But yeah, she almost missed her qualifier because of a porta potty not opening the door for her.
I would be looking into who booby-trapped that porta potty.
Yeah. Was it the Russians? They're always up to something.
Yeah.
2 U.S. astronauts stuck in space as Boeing analyzes Starliner problems. What? Another Boeing problem? Boeing is... Oh, God. So, yeah, this was Boeing... They got the contract, this was 5 years ago, to build the new shuttle thing that takes people to the ISS.
Mm-hmm.
They went way the fuck over budget. The launches kept getting delayed because things were going wrong. This is all amidst their airplanes just falling apart every 3 days or so.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you know it, once they actually got those astronauts up there, now, not sure when they're going to be able to bring them back down.
I was impressed that they even were able to make it to the
I wouldn't have gotten in that shuttle.
Not me.
No, sir. Those astronauts.
They are built different.
Braver than the troops.
Yeah, and so is that capsule. Built different. Incorrect.
Built wrong.
Yeah.
So that's cool. We love our aerospace industry, don't we, folks? Best in the world.
Gonna get a lot better now that the Chevron, Supreme Court decision on the Chevron Accord or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Department of Transportation, for too long, they've had the ability to tell companies how to make things not kill people.
And they're doing away with that.
We're getting rid of that.
Yeah.
Ronaldo, the 6-foot male snake, gives birth to 14 babies in rare virgin birth.
I worship the snake now.
He is a male, but he's also a female. He did a little...
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
They checked for Dick 10 years ago, and they're like, yeah, it's a boy, Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been around another snake for years. Suddenly pregnant.
Ronaldo is such a sex icon. Even impregnated himself.
Yeah. It's rare, but it happens.
Mm-hmm. That's how Christianity was born.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they changed his name to...
Mary?
Yeah.
Cargo ship draws Suez Canal blockage comparisons after becoming stuck in Cambridge River.
Yeah, this is delightful.
Yeah.
Little riverboat. One of those boats that's long and flat.
With a paddle on it?
No, it's like a cargo ship,
Oh,
but really
okay.
flat.
Yeah,
those big, giant cargo ships that go on rivers. And the calmest waters imaginable, not a ripple. And so somehow...
He was trying to drift it.
Yeah, I guess. They had some trouble getting it out, but they got it out.
Well, that's good.
Always a delight when a ship that's supposed to go straight goes cockeyed and blocks the whole thing up for everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they got it
Anyways,
all cleared up. Yeah.
That's our show.
Woo! Just under an hour. Woo!
God.
You owe us $5. Click the join button.
You do.
Yeah. We're losing our goddamn minds here, okay?
This is not a good time to
It's
be
it's
alive
America's
and-
birthday next week.
Oh God, yeah, that too. It feels like every 4th of July like coincides with just multiple reasons happening around the same time of just like, wow, fuck this country. So once again, always excited.
Hopefully we'll have some, no we won't actually, because we're going to cover some Supreme Court stuff. But hopefully there's some good news coming down the...
Man, I don't know.
Next week, a short week next week, we're just going to have 2 episodes just because it's fucking 4th of July. Let us have a break. But to make up for that, you can click the join button. But if you're at the very least, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have 2 episodes popping up right over here for you. We got a news dump about just more companies deleting decades worth of content for no reason. And then an episode of Tech News Day. Check both of those out, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.